All right, welcome to Biz Bites with JK. This is the first live stream and first guest appearance on my show, and pretty excited to have today Jibbs Burdon, Justin Burdon, Mr. Wingman, however you want to call it. Happy to have you, brother. As I'm growing the platform and trying to build an audience, I've got some pretty good followers. So the ones that I do have, I'm excited to have this interview. Not only are you my cousin, I've known you my whole life. We're the same age, grew up together. We were very close growing up. We remained pretty close. We remain very close. And so maybe just tell the audience a little bit about you, what you do. We'll get into your company because I'm pretty stoked about, especially on the US side, all the followers that I have there, they'd be pretty excited about what you do out there. And so maybe give us a little bit of background and we'll jump into it after that.
Sure. You're JK's cousin. Grew up together in Niagara Falls. I went to Boston College to run track and field and stuck around Boston. Worked in kind of finance accounting for about 10 years and then opened up what is now Heartbreak Hill Running Company in 2009. So our company has, 4 brick and mortar locations, a very large team across the country, and really just launched a more robust e-com business than we've had in the past. So kind of just trying to grow as a company, and I say our mission is pretty simple. It's make runners faster and make running fun.
Yeah, man. I had the opportunity to obviously see your operations, and it's pretty special. And to go back on, you were down in Boston College. You were an unbelievable runner in high school and really had an amazing career. But I mean, I think that a great story is when you started in 2009, you were legitimately, it was you and the other, AKA Fitzy, who started this thing, and you were sleeping at the store. I mean, you had one location. You started from the ground up. You had no employees. It was just you two grinding it out. And here you are now, almost, we'll call it 11 years later, with 5 locations, two states, and a 6th one coming. So, I mean, tell us about the process, man. I mean, it must have been hard, but what kind of got you through it, and how did you grow it so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, you summarized it pretty well. I mean, Dan and I started, just Tim and I, and we worked side by side together every day for probably a year and a half maybe 2 years before we hired our first employee. And that was those kind of first couple of years were really incredible learning experiences and figuring out how to make things happen. Like in business, I think if you make a mistake once, that's fine, right? But just don't make the same mistake again, right? So yeah. I think I think we still make tons of mistakes, but I think people underestimate the just being in business for 10 years, how much we've learned in those 10 years.
Yeah.
And how hard it's been. If you told me in 2009 how hard it would have been, I don't think we would have opened up, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I'm glad we did. Yeah, I'm glad we did, and I'm glad we are where we are now. And I think, at some point, it's just, you just have to keep going.
Yeah.
It doesn't closing isn't an option, and I think that's the same approach we've taken to this, the current COVID situation, and we've had to shutter all the stores, and Heartbreak will be there on the other side of this thing. And
so, I mean, before you get into that, because I think that's going to be a huge point, because if you look at businesses affected by COVID, the majority of the business affected are bricks and mortar, which you guys are. So, before we get there, when you were in 2009, you guys started this store. You guys were 2 of you. Did you see yourselves 10 years from now having 5 stores, or was it always we were going to build a store and we were just this was going to be it, and we were just going to go out and have fun doing it? What was the trigger point for you guys to say, we have something here, we should expand?
Yeah, I think as silly as it seems, like sometimes we've really just followed our gut instinct, as far as like what we need to do. When we opened up our second store, it was in 2011 or 2012. And quite frankly, we had no business opening up a second store at that point in time. The first store certainly wasn't a runaway success.
Yeah.
But we had an opportunity to take over a space which was right at the base of Heartbreak Hill on mile 20 of one of the most historic marathons in the world. And we just knew it was the place. We knew that location and that spot was the place. And quite frankly, we were right. And that's really been, that was really when I look back on it, we were kind of wishy-washy for a while. We weren't, before we signed the lease to that space, we were called South End Athletic Company. And we didn't know what we were going to call the second space. And then the name Heartbreak Hill Running Company came into our brains, and we designed the logo, and I think we signed the lease the next day.
Yeah.
So it was those moments where I think there's these pivotal moments throughout, I think, anyone's life and any business's life that, now that I look back upon it, it's like, whoa, that was very pivotal in kind of our trajectory as a company.
Yeah, and it's crazy because how many employees do you have now? 5 stores.
Probably 30 employees, probably 10 coaches. So yeah, a good amount.
And I mean, I think it says something about the company that you guys have built in America with all the competition, especially in the sports market, the sports industry. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go to Sports Check and buy running shoes, or Dick's Sporting Goods and buy running shoes. And, you don't need to go to a specialized running store, but what you guys have created is something unique, which attracts a certain, not just a certain clientele, but whether you're a runner in competitive environment or not. I remember you saying this to me, it's open to all kinds and all types. And on top of that, you guys have how many Heartbreakers now? I mean, you guys have a paid membership across America. You guys have how many?
Just over 1,000 Heartbreakers across the country. And, I think I've told you this before, is that, one of the things that you and I have in common is, we've played sports our whole lives. You had the good fortune of playing college football, quarterbacking at Concordia, and I ran track at Boston College. And I think for both of us, those were really pivotal times in our life, and that we developed incredible friendships out of those times. Probably are the best friends we still have today. And what I think a real kind of light bulb that went off in my head was like, not everyone gets that experience.
Yeah, man.
Right.
100%.
And to be able to create something to deliver that experience to a lot more people in running was, for me, I think is what the Heartbreakers are all about. And so that's something I think we're really proud about. Dan and I are, and the Heartbreakers at this point are definitely our most loyal customers, our most supportive community, and our most vocal advocates. So we're really lucky to have them, and we hope we're doing as much good for them as they are for us. So.
Yeah, man, it's great. I think what you guys have done is an amazing accomplishment. What's next for you guys? Barring you get out of COVID, like everybody, without any bruises, what's the next growth plan?
Well, I think the COVID, what it did for us was really forced us to attack the digital space faster than we otherwise would have.
Yeah.
So we had been, cooking up a new website for quite a long time, but it was always kind of sitting on the back burner. And when, we had to close the stores because we're non-essential businesses. So as soon as that happened, we just, accelerated the development of the website. So we launched Heartbreak.run on Monday.
Yeah.
This past week, and it was a huge success. And, so on the digital side, it's I look at it as an e-com side of things, then the kind of content engagement side of things, which is for me delivering the Heartbreak in-store experience digitally, so coming to our platform, to Heartbreak.run, and feeling like you're part of the Heartbreak community is really important for us.
Yeah, it's a great website actually. I was on it today, but I mean, do you see this being a trend for your type of companies, bricks and mortar, that heavily relied on, you know, people walking through your door, in class sessions, running groups? I mean, that was
Yeah.
your bread and butter. That was your world. So, I mean, do
Yeah.
you see you continuing this even post isolation?
I do. I think the world is the way people consume goods or purchase things or engage with companies is um, has always been changing over the, and it's just changed. That change has accelerated over the past few years. But I think for me, it's like the more platforms, the more ways, the more opportunities that people engage with you, the better.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the consumer base and folks that, you know, baby boomers interact with a company different than, Generation X folks interact with a company
Yeah.
versus how millennials interact with a company. So I think different people just interact with companies different ways. And you really have to meet the customer where they are and
Yeah.
not force them to use a different platform or engage with you in a different way. So for me, it's always been important to give everybody the opportunity to engage with us,
Yeah. It's crazy.
however they want to engage with us.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a valid statement, man, because I mean, I know even for us, who is considered an essential business still in my current company, and we're still putting out to the construction business. We're we're a B2B, but our customer, which is B2C, is you're either going to sink or you're swim, and the guys that are swimming are jumping onto digital marketing, social media,
Yeah.
e-commerce platforms, and in our industry particularly is it's very old school industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of these are baby boomers that are still running these
Yeah.
companies.
Yeah.
Guys like my dad and
Yeah.
your dad that are still involved, they have no idea about going
Yeah.
live on YouTube or live on Instagram. So
Well, think about this, Johnny K. The fact that you and I are doing this is pretty incredible. Like, I remember the days when I was in college, I didn't have a computer. When I used email for the first time was in college.
yeah,
I had a dial-up connection, when I first started to work, right? So you think about the past, what's that been, 20 years or so? The
yeah,
amount of things you can do now from a tech standpoint, and just the ways you can engage. You and I are not tech savvy, but we're able to engage with other people pretty easily at this point. So I think that's pretty cool, and just figuring out how to do it. It's not that hard, and it's we were talking about this a little bit earlier. It's time to take some risks, and what do you got to lose, right?
well, that's it, right? And I mean, yeah, we did talk about this earlier. Back to your point, we are not tech savvy, so we had to do our live on Instagram before we did our live on YouTube and on the podcast. But for those of the audience on the podcast, you won't see this video. Just so you know, we are drinking beers, and because it's taken a little longer, we're a few in. But you know what? I think it's brought out a better conversation. Um, I'm going to finish up with one quick question to you, because I think for all small business owners, medium-sized business owners, however way, any type of business owner in general, but particularly the small business owner, they got to find a different way of doing business. And your best advice to bricks and mortar stores in the USA, there's millions of them. I mean, what do you think they need to do to survive this isolation and post-isolation period?
It's a great question. I'll give an answer that I don't know if it's maybe too easy of an answer, but listen to your customers. Really listen to your customers. What do they need from you at this time? What are they trying to, what exactly, how can you help them? I think a lot of businesses, that seems very simple and almost business 101, but a lot of businesses kind of sometimes forget that. Just listen to your customers and listen to the data, listen to the things that they don't say, listen to what they're saying, listen to what they mean, and then try to follow your customers, and you'll be all right.
You know what? Sometimes when you break it down easy, it's the best way to look at it. So where can we find you, dude? Because I want to promote you. I want you to be successful beyond your wildest dreams. Not that you already are. You guys have a successful company, but I want you to keep expanding. So my followers, as they, keep adding up on my side, I want them to connect with Heartbreak. Where do they find you? Where do they find Justin? And give us some details so I can post it for you.
Yeah, sure. It's heartbreak.run. Launched the new website on Monday, so check it out, heartbreak.run. And I am Mr._Wingman.
Love it.
Find me on Instagram. Just trying to have some fun.
It's awesome, man. Listen, I'm super proud of you, brother. I really am.
Well,
I know
proud of you, buddy, and thanks for having me on the show. I think what you're doing is awesome. I've watched some of your other, shorter little biz bites, and they're pretty cool. I've enjoyed listening to them, and much success, much love to you and your family.
Yeah, man. Right back at you. Stay safe. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks for being on this. Appreciate it, man.
Johnny K. Anytime.
All right.